How's it going, y'all? It has been Aqua, like the color. I am freezing right now, so I'll make this intro quick. So yeah, this is the Tesla Model Y behind me, the 2021 Long Range Edition. I love this car, and there are some things that have actually surprised me about owning this car after 1 month. So let's get into it. I just realized I look like Asian Where's Waldo. So the first thing that really shocked me about the car is related to the interior here. And as you can see, there's like no knobs and buttons like a traditional car. There's basically this gigantic screen over here. There's no even vents or anything where you can adjust, you know, like a physical knob or a little vent area or whatever. And even on the wheel, there's only a couple little buttons and scroll wheel kinds of things. And you got a couple stokes on the left and right here. No screen back here or anything. So what you see is what you get with this car. So what surprised me about this was I thought this was going to be really hard to adapt to from a RAV4 Hybrid, which was my previous car. I really was initially intimidated with the idea of just having a screen and no buttons, no knobs or anything, but it really surprised me how easy it was to actually adapt to the system. And now that I've been using this kind of one screen system, I kind of don't really want to go back to a car that has, you know, a bunch of knobs and buttons everywhere, kind of cluttering up the space. Visually, I think this is beautiful, and I actually found it quite easy to just quickly evolve and be like, okay, your info about your car is over here. You have GPS and music and stuff over here. It's like a giant iPad, and I actually really like that. And I love that you also get over-the-air updates. So what you're seeing is version 11 of the interface here, where you can do stuff like move around your icons and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's really cool, really beautiful. I love this minimal design. But yeah, adapting to this one screen, no knob type of driving system has been really easy. Another thing that really surprised me about the Model Y Long Range is how amazing the performance is, and it just completely blows the RAV4 Hybrid out of the water. I knew it was going to be faster. You know, Tesla has the reputation of building these extremely zippy cars, but I didn't think it was going to be this crazy, y'all. It was really surprising. I don't even have the performance model or the acceleration boost, which gives me an even faster 0 to 60, but the 0 to 60 in the 2021 Long Range Model Y is 4.8 seconds, which is kind of bonkers. Like for me, I'm used to going, you know, maybe 7 seconds in the RAV4 Hybrid. So to go from 7 to 4.8, it's a huge noticeable difference in performance. And where that comes in handy is not just for the 0 to 60 kind of thing, but it's also for, you know, moments where there are cars that are coming onto the highway that I have to kind of move out of the way of, or someone's just driving and acting, you know, like a total fool on the highway or something, and I have to pull around them or something. Having that extra power in the Model Y has been amazing, and the overall performance is just completely stunning. Like, I'm actually shocked at how fast this car is. Another thing that really surprised me about the Model Y Long Range is how easy it was to adapt to one pedal driving, coming from a gas powered car, coming from that RAV4 Hybrid. I'm so used to doing, you know, like a foot on the acceleration and then the brake back and forth, this and that. But with one pedal driving, you almost don't even have to use the brake pedal at all. Like, you're basically just pressing down on the acceleration, and then when you lift your foot off of it, it'll actually decelerate for you and also regenerate the battery. By the way, check out these ridiculous pants that I just had made. So yeah, if you're thinking about getting a Tesla or an electric car and you're worried about one pedal driving being like, you know, really crazy to learn, I found it to be really easy to learn actually. And within like the first even just hour of driving, I was already like, oh yeah, I love the one pedal driving system. I don't really want to go back to the two pedal thing with the acceleration and the brake. One pedal driving is here to stay. I love it. Another thing that has surprised me about this car is how bumpy the ride is. Why this is actually surprising to me is, you know, just the car that is this sleek and this modern looking and so minimal and so floaty feeling when you first get in. Like, it's incredibly quiet. As soon as you go over bumps and stuff, it's like all of a sudden bump city, and you really feel every little, you know, imperfection in the road. It's not the bumpiest car I've ever been in, but it's noticeably bumpier than the RAV4 Hybrid, and I think that has to do with the suspension in here, which uses a coil suspension. I'm using these terms like I know what I'm talking about with cars. I'm not really like a car expert, but the RAV4 was definitely a smoother ride. That was also a bumpy ride too, but the Tesla Model Y Long Range is even more bumpy, and it's kind of shocking, you know, when you go over speed bumps and stuff like that. You would think this car would be a cloud-like experience, but if you want a smoother ride and you want a Tesla, I would highly recommend getting the Tesla Model X or the Model S if you can afford it. Those are expensive cars. However, those Teslas have air suspension, which feels more cloud-like when you go over bumps and that kind of thing. The Y and the 3 don't have that air suspension, so you do feel more of the bumps and stuff on the road. So I guess this car, the Model Y, is trying to be more of like a sporty kind of ride where you feel the curves, where you feel the road, you know, right underneath you. It's just kind of bumpier than I would personally want. But is it a deal breaker? Hell to the no. Another thing that has really surprised me about the Model Y is the frunk and how much I used it. So I just opened it and I'm gonna head outside and just show you how much space there is in this frunk, which is actually covered in some ice because we had a little ice storm going on here. Whoa. But yeah, this frunk is actually surprisingly useful. I thought this would be kind of like a gimmick, like, oh, I will never use that. It's such a tiny space. I use this frunk all the time. This is kind of the perfect space for putting some, you know, groceries and stuff, putting some small stuff that you don't necessarily want, you know, to be dangling around in the back of your normal trunk. But the frunk has plenty of space here. You could probably fit like a carry-on and then some other stuff on the side here. So the frunk, do not discount this thing because it actually has quite a bit of space. And this has come in handy quite a lot. The normal trunk here also has a ton of space as well, and I believe once you put the seats down, you'll actually get 8 feet of space, like from the back here to the front. 8 feet is plenty for me to sleep on if I were to camp or something in this car. And yeah, the Model Y just has a ton of space, and I really am cold, so I'm gonna go back inside. Another thing that has surprised me about my Model Y experience so far is range anxiety actually isn't that big of a deal for me, mostly because the long range has up to, I think, 330 miles on a good day. It is cold outside. Right now, it's actually below freezing. So I noticed the battery actually has gone down in terms of the range. So I knew going into buying the Tesla Model Y that I would have to, you know, consider how much range there is. It's kind of like having a gas-powered car where you don't want to run out of your battery life. But I thought I would be like obsessed with checking how much range do I have left in this car, and I was just going to constantly run out and this and that. But the Tesla is incredibly efficient, and all you really have to do is just kind of plan it out. And what's kind of cool about not having a gas car too is the electricity that charges the battery is the same electricity no matter if you plug it into a wall or if you plug it into a public charger or a supercharger or something like that. Electricity is electricity, so it's not like going to a gas station where you're like, okay, where does this gas come from? Is this going to be like lower quality gas? You don't have that risk with an electric car because electricity is just electricity. There's not better or worse quality electricity. It's just electricity. So yeah, when it comes to range anxiety, it's not that big of a deal as long as you kind of plan out your drive. You know, if you're going to be doing a longer trip, of course, you're going to want to charge even more. But I've been just charging to 80%, which is what Tesla actually recommends. So overall, I am in love with the Tesla Model Y so far, and I have no regrets about getting this car. If you have any questions for me, leave them in the comments below. And if there's some things that surprised you about Tesla when you got one, also leave that in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.